Been lazy. 8 o'clock. Bang on. You too. Damn it. They just got out. The moon's still in the sky. Mist is burning off slowly. And we would have been in the fog bank again. Or the cloud inversion, whatever you like to call it, if we had camped up there. Had a good sleep. And Stella's looking good. Even better. Stella's looking much fresher this morning. You can hear her. So that worked. The meds worked. Right, go get coffee. The pigs stole some of my brekkie. Rebel's got his head down. I don't know why he's sulking. Last night, I woke up, I can't remember what time, but about 12:30. And Rebel's lying on the floor next to me here. So I was like, what is that? And Rogan was a bit restless last night, I don't know why. But I remember the guy, the two gentlemen before me, sorry, that arrived here, said, and they had a dog, they had that Wynama, and they said their dog had been restless all the night before. So when I checked the Bothy book, I saw in some of the entries, going back a few weeks back, there was bats in the ceiling upstairs. And they would fly around at night. So, and as you know, bats make a high-pitched sound. So we can't hear them, humans. But dogs are probably picking up that high pitch. And they're trying to figure out where it is coming from. Because they're looking up and all they're seeing is this ceiling. So I'm guessing that's what was making Rogue restless and then upsetting Rebel. And then Rebel was lying on a concrete floor rather than on his bed. So I put him back on there, let him out, and they settled down. But yeah, had a good night's sleep. Got bitten around my midriff when in the sleeping bag, so I'm going to have to shake the sleeping bag and air it. It might have been a flea or something inside the sleeping bag from the other day. Don't know. Very strange, because when I went out last night, I tucked all my clothes in, because just in case the midges were about. Unless I picked a midge on my clothes and pulled my clothes and got in a sleeping bag and one of the midges was in with me. Don't know. But something nibbled me. Part and parcel of being in Scotland, isn't it? So, yeah, doing nothing. Absolutely sitting here thinking of doing nothing except maybe flying my drone later. Enjoying the sun. Oh, that's the other thing. On my Garmin 66i, this beast tried to get the weather last night. So, requested weather update, and an hour later, this is before we settled down, still didn't get it. So I thought, checked all the signals, satellites, they were all working, they were perfect. So I did a message test. You can do a message test that's on there, and I just went, hi, you know what I mean? And it'll acknowledge if the message gets through to the centre. Well, I came back within a couple of minutes, so that was good. So I was like, why aren't you giving me more weather then? So hopefully today, this morning sometime, I can get a weather update, because the weather system was not working last night. And that was about 8 o'clock, so that should have worked. But yeah, annoying. So it wasn't a communication problem. It wasn't the device problem. It was some problem on Garmin's weather connection. No good if you're on a mountain and you want a weather update. You can't get it, is it? So I spent a good hour trying to get it. It said failed and eventually. So we'll see what happens this morning. Hopefully I can get a weather update. I'll try it in a minute, as a matter of fact. The other thing I was thinking is, like last night, when is the last time you did nothing? And when I mean nothing, I mean, when you're at home, I'm either walking the dogs, cleaning the house, cleaning the car, cutting the grass, online, social media, watching telly, listening to telly, that's because there's nothing any good on. You know, you never stop. You're like a human. You don't realise, even when you think you're doing nothing, you're on social media. You know, you're watching Instagram, you're watching YouTube, you're just, well, maybe TikTok, something like that. Your brain is always doing something. But out here, so nice. You just, the other day, yesterday, I was just looking at the mountains, enjoying the sunshine. Couldn't use social media because I've got no connection. Couldn't do nothing, which was so nice. It cleans the brain. Really does the brain some good. Eventually I got the drone out, which was useful for the future. So yeah, it's just weird how, you know, we don't realise, even when we think of doing nothing at home, we've either got the radio on, telly on, kids are running around if you've got children, you know, you're always functioning, you're always doing something. But with the dogs, when they settle down in their dog room, I'm normally on social media, things like, rogue, 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 go, go, go. I don't see that in the morning. Lie down. She's a madam, she is. Yeah, it's just nice sometimes for the human brain just to sit, enjoy the weather, look at the views, and do nothing. Can't do you any harm. Right, I'll try and get weather. So, check satellites, got plenty. I think there's only 2 satellites out. I've changed the satellite system several times to different ones just to make sure it might get a better reception. It's got good reception on all of them. But that's all I get. I get stuck on updating. It's never done that before. When I was at Bridge of Walkie, it worked perfectly every time. But not this time. Annoying. Whole point is to have the odd midgets around, sorry. These 2 are driving me crazy. It's only 8:30 in the morning. Oh dear. Crazy, look at them. I don't know what game it is. It's game Cause Havoc. Thing is, they're getting soaked in the dew. Then they'll go in, lie on their beds and soak their head. Luckily, it's going to be a nice day. But yeah, annoying on that because the whole point is, you know, you're on a mountain, the weather might be iffy, you want to check the weather update. So that's what I was doing. I was just checking to make sure it works here as well. And lo and behold, it don't. And this is about the 3rd or 4th time I requested and still haven't got a response. So I'll get in touch with them and get it back and see what their excuses. They always have excuses, don't they? Device is good. It does connect. As I say, I did send a message, and an acknowledgement message was sent back on a test. I'm sure the SOS, I hope so. But there again, I got the iPhone, so we'll see what happens in the future with the iPhone and their subscription. At the moment, it's free, as I say, but they ain't got no weather or anything. But in the future, I'm guessing they'll do exactly the same. You know? Hey, behave. Echoed all round that, did. It's a Friday morning, so I'm expecting people on a Friday to arrive at the Bothy. Hopefully they don't have a dog. Otherwise, it could be chaos with 3 dogs and another dog. I think they're picking something else, deer or something. As I said, there is wild boar and you'd never see them. They'd be running through these ferns. So, yeah, yesterday it took an hour and still nothing. It looks like we're going the same way today on that weather update. Thankfully, there's 1 or 2, but the midgets are they're docile because of that cold, frosty, well, it's not frosty, foggy morning. It's burning off well, though. Beautiful area, isn't it? That's what I mean. Just staring at that is immense. I mean, as I said, and on the video, it looks so small. Really, it looks something like that in front of me. It's beautiful. And if you can still see, still waiting for a response. I'm going to go to the privy in a minute, take it to the privy with me. Maybe it works in the privy. Good job I didn't want emergency weather, wasn't it? The system is, you can complain, but you can't complain, if you get what I mean. The weather updates an additional feature to the actual system. So you pay a standard, I call them tariffs, but I don't know if they're, I would stick with tariffs anyway. But there's about 3 types. There's standard, extra and premium, something like that. I can't remember. So I went with the standard just to see how the system works, because I thought if I spend lots of money and it still doesn't work, then I've wasted a lot of money. You can either be on a yearly plan or you can pay month by month. But because I was out, I know I'm going to be out more or less every month, then I start with the yearly plan. Now in that system you get 10 messages that are your personal messages, like you send it to friends or something like that, and they've got to be within so many words. Again, don't quote me on things. But you get the standard messages like that are preset, like arrived at camp, camping here, leaving camp, this is my location, whatever. They're standard, you cannot alter them, but they're free. So, and that's brilliant. But the things like the weather updates and all that are an additional feature attached to it that they would say is, you can't really complain about. It's a feature that's attached, but it's the feature I want, because I mean today, look, beautiful day, I don't care, you know what I mean, I was just testing it. But pretend now it's snowing and there's blizzards and it's freezing and I've only got what, 4 miles to walk, and I know the track, but I want to know if I'm going to get soaked in the next hour. You know what I mean? It helps, doesn't it? So and this is an hour of updating and still nothing. So as I say, they will probably get back to me and say, well, we had a system problem or something like that. We know about that, but that's not very good when you're on the mountain, is it? So again, I'll see what iPhone does in the future. I mean, I like this, got maps and all that, but as I say, very rarely use the maps because I'd only use them in an emergency or if I was being nosy. But I'm sure the iPhone system, but the problem with an iPhone, this is rugged. I'm not saying I would throw it over there, but I could throw it probably in that river, and I think it's waterproof down to 1 metre or something for 30 minutes, something stupid like that. Now the iPhone's brittle, isn't it? You know what I mean? If I drop it, it's gone. If I throw it if it drops in the water, I know it's supposed to be waterproof, but hey, do you really want to test it in the water? And if the iPhone slips out your hand, and that's your means of videoing and SOS feature and maybe even your GPS to get home, your sat nav, then you've lost everything. That's hence why I was carrying a separate sat nav in the car, that if this played up, if I dropped the iPhone on my travels, I've always got a sat nav for the car. But this is I wanted the two features, so I was always had a backup, but I just wanted the weather updating. It's a lovely feature. It's obviously very glitchy, so I will send them a message, and I've got video as proof, haven't I? But it happens, doesn't it? Right, off to the privy and see if it works there. The good news is we're back to 2.5 dogs. Look at her, looking happy again, wagging tail, and not looking too stiff as well. So that extra aspirin, paracetamol, sorry, I gave her, has helped. And that's what I should be doing. I should be not using the meds. She's on one Rimadyl always, and that's always helped and done her a lot of good. But the vet always said to me, give her this paracetamol half a day, 3 times a day, then give her the gabapentin. And she was getting so doped up, she was so sedated, you know what I mean, that she didn't know what day it was. So I took her off the gabapentin because that was killing her, and took her withdrew her from the paracetamol. Just kept her on the Rimadyl. Then when she has bad days, I can give her the paracetamol. I mean, look at her now. And it's working. And then when she recovers, like, see what she's like later today, take her off the paracetamol and just keep her on the Rimadyl. Use that paracetamol as a kind of an extra pain relief. And it seems to... Oh, God, I thought they were going to hear. Be careful, you two. I don't want no injuries. And that seems to be working. I think my way's better than the vet way. And it's true, isn't it? You know your dog better than the vets do. They only see you for about 20 minutes when you have an appointment. They give you the tablets and then take huge chunks of cash out of your hand, don't they? I'm not saying all are bad, but there's a hell of a lot of greedy ones. So I'm having another coffee. This has been well over an hour and a half nearly. Nothing. I took it to the privy, that didn't work. Should have thrown it in the privy. Oh, it's Rebel, you're soaking. I went to fuss him and he's soaked. Go away. Go away. Go. Leave me alone. The midges are about. I should get changed then, but I'm just being lazy. I feel itchy though with the midges. So now Stella's back to normal. She can have a little paddle, see how she is. She reacts. I know the cold don't do it too good, but she loves it. I'm expecting visitors, as I say. Being a Friday, you'd expect people to turn out of the Bothy sometime today. Yeah, the midgets are out. These two idiots. I know, Stella. What are we going to do with them? I've got the shock collar on there just because I'm expecting visitors, and not because I ever want to use it, but just in case I turn my back and I don't see someone approaching last minute. It's just to stop her, just because she is the one that's protective. Right, enough rambling, isn't it? But I'm sure you're enjoying the views. Rebel, go away. Oh dear. Look at them. They're all around me like fleas, like flies. Go away. It's good to see Stella back to normal though. Try and show you, look. Got plenty of satellites, just the two at the top. Maybe one at the bottom. They're all popping out, look. But it's still not updated with the weather. So it's not about satellite reception or anything like that. There must be some connection with their weather systems. I believe the weather is provided by, is it Meteo Blue? I will put the name up. I do use the app. It's a brilliant app. But I'm guessing I'm having issues with the connection because I'm not getting no weather updates at all. Anyway, cleaned all the area of doggo droppings because, as you can see, everything's burned. The only place they can do their biz is on the actual trail, which is not good. And at night when you come out and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm not traipsing all the way up there to get them to do the biz. So I've been along the trail all the way along and scanned all around and deposited their droppings somewhere else. So, I mean, it's the last thing I would want, to walk in some dog muck coming in. That would be disgusting, so I wouldn't expect anyone else to go through it. So that's been done. I've got to sweep the Bothy out because they keep traipsing rubbish in. Filter some water. I mean, this one is more eager than the other two now. She's pacing up and down. She wants rest. Stella, don't eat the grass, please. So she's feeling on top of the world. She just wore herself out diving in the river the other day. Charged phone up using the solar panel, which has been working perfect. That solar panel has been absolutely brilliant. I have done a review on it many months back on the video. It's a little bit heavy, but my God, done it work and done it safe. I've hardly used my power banks. So their power banks are just a backup, just in case the weather was bad. I don't want to eat too much today. I ate far too much yesterday. I was pigging and I felt bloated by the evening. Probably too much information, but yeah, I try not to pig so much. I overdone it yesterday. We will go and explore. I will use the drone. I'm trying to practice with the active tracking, so we might go and explore the ruins, even though I've been out there before, and just see how the drone works for that. Ooh, I don't know what happened there. Maybe it worked. I doubt it. I think that's this. Oh, now I've got. Oh. Sorry, I'm talking to you while I was checking. Because you might be thinking again, no, it's still updating. I think that was a signal to say it's eventually sent, but no response still. And I've got every satellite system on, GPS, Galileo, you name it, Glasnost or whatever it is. Got my clothes airing because, as you can imagine, after 3 days, you don't want to start smelling of people around. As I said, I've got Sweet Bothy out. They have not been in the other room. I've not been upstairs. Hey, leave the grass. They've not been upstairs. So, another lazy day. Be nice to be honest, if we get a couple of people that are nice company, it'd be nice to have a chat and kind of just relax and be, you know, kind of have a natter with some similar-minded people that enjoy the outdoors. So I wouldn't mind looking forward to that. I was here, if you remember right, I know I'm rambling again, and I was here, the last time I was here before this time was, I'd done that pass, the very pass that Paul would have come down. But anyway, I was here, we came down, went up, correction, came here, then we went up the pass, then we came back, and then we stopped here. And about 12 o'clock at night, I'd been drinking whiskey myself, but 12 o'clock at night, I could hear this racket, and I videoed it and kind of talked about it. And there's a group of 4 lads coming down, absolutely slaughtered. And I thought, here we go, you know what I mean? But I thought, don't worry, the dogs will soon sort that. Rebel! Oh, he's here. I said to myself, well, don't worry, the dogs will soon sort that problem out. So I left the dogs inside, and I greeted them at the door, and I says, don't worry, you lads, but I've got 3 big dogs in here, so I have to be careful when you come in and out. You know, I thought, just lay the foundations if they're going to be drunk and rowdy. And they were good as gold. The lads were really good as gold, really nice lads. And that was before this room was partitioned, so we had to go through, and that's why I was talking about the dogs, because we had to go through the room they were going to be in. They would be on lead, of course, but I just wanted to pre-warn them just in case they're a bit leery with the dogs. Anyway, I left the dogs in the room. The lads brought out whiskey bottles all over the place. And we started drinking whiskey to about, I don't know, 3 in the morning. I said, no, I can't drink. They kept forcing the whiskey on me, and I was loving it. You know what I mean? I'd already been drinking whiskey. And I went to bed about, I don't know, 3 o'clock, 3:30, something like that. I'd already been sleeping early, so it wasn't too bad for me. But they were starting fires and eating, of course, because I've been drinking, they want to have some food at 3 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, I got up at 8, and just opening the latch, one of them was complaining, it's going, oh, please, mate, can you close the door? Oh, you know what I mean? His head was hurting. One came out here, I went out to walk the dogs to get them to do what they wanted to do. I came here and one was puking against the wall. Went back in, and I purposely made noise because I know they wanted to hike to Bothy. So I purposely made a lot of noise on the door because I knew they'd regret it if they just overslept, because it was a reunion, university reunion, and they wanted to do this route because they'd done it in the past. And so I thought, no, I'm not going to let them sleep in because I know they'll have regrets. So I kept back making noise with the dogs and the door. And I was just about to leave, and they were getting up. And I said to them, you're right, lads, and you should have seen the state of them. They look wrecked. And I said, good night, wasn't it? And they said, yeah. And they were packing gear, and I said, "You still going over?" And they went, "Yeah." I said, "You be careful because you know them slopes and all." I said, "Yeah, we'll do it." Well. So I left them, and I went up there, and I was laughing my head off, and one was still, I think, puking against the wall. But as I say, the lads were good as gold, friendly as hell. Really, just a great bunch of lads to have in the Bothy. And I saw one of them later at Loch Dochard when I was doing searching for Neil. And I went, "I know you." And he went, "Yeah, I know you." And I says, "You were at the Bothy at Glenpean?" He goes, "Yeah." And I says, "Did you go to Oban that night, the next day?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "We had a great time." But they ran out of whiskey. They only had like half a bottle of whiskey when they got to Oban, which is probably a good thing in some ways. But yeah, nice to bump into one of them at least again. So they had a great time. But these lads had travelled all over from UK because they're in different universities and all this, and they'd gone to higher universities or whatever. And they were just out meeting up. A great bunch of lads, had a great time. But it just shows you cannot judge. When they came over the hill, you could hear them for about half a mile away making noise and racket. I thought, "Oh God, here we go." And you hear the stories, you know, that people say, "Oh, people turned out, caused problems and all this." So I thought, right, here we go. But no, they were just a brilliant bunch of lads, and we had a great time. It was nice to see them. And they were good as gold. When in the morning when I saw the dogs, you know, there was about, I think there was about 5 lads, and they had sleeping bags on the floor, they had sleeping bags on the bench, they're all over the place. And we had to tiptoe around them. But yeah, to see that one poor guy puking against the wall, he looked rough. And when I said, "You're right," he was like, "Yeah." He just waved me on, "Go." But that was the last time I was here, and that was the last time we had company. Time before that, I was here. I'm sorry, I am rambling now, I know, and it was really bad weather. And there was some Dutch guys, again, I did a video about it, and I thought they were coming to the Bothy. There was about 4 or 5 of them, and they're coming up, and I says, "Oh, lads," you know, thinking they're coming in the Bothy, introduce myself. And no, they were going to go to Oban. And I says, "Have you ever been there before?" And they goes, "No." I says, it's a bit rugged, you know, and be careful on the loch where the slope is, because it can be greasy. I says, "You got a tent?" Because I said sometimes that Bothy's locked, which it is during stalking season, which is probably now. And I says, like, you know, if the Bothy's locked, you won't be able to get in. There's a little side shed, but I mean, you're not getting in there. And they says, "No, we ain't got no tent." I thought, like, and I was looking at the weather, and I went, "Oof." I says, "It's probably not the best thing to do if you ain't got a tent, because you'll be stuck out there. And if the weather changed," I says, "Look at the weather," and it was all dark. And they said, "Oh, we'll be all right." And I says, "Right, I'll see you in an hour then," joking. And they set off, and I don't think they realise how boggy it gets. Really boggy, and it does get more rugged as it gets further on. It's quite wilderness. You know what I mean? It's like wilderness anyway. And lo and behold, about an hour later, they come back, and they went, "Oh," good choice. I says, "Yeah, it was getting a bit rough." I says, "I'm not worried about that. I was worried about the weather, and if you ain't got a tent, you stuck out there without a tent, you'll get absolutely drenched, you know what I mean?" Anyway, they came in, they were great fun, kept the dogs. We got a fire going in there, and they came into the room, I got the fire going, and lo and behold, pulls out a bottle of whiskey. Another great night. Stella stopped eating the grass, and saw them in the morning. They looked a bit rough again. Set off and never saw them again, but it was doing a nice group of lads. And once before, it's just to carry on the ramble, because I've got nothing else to do today. I got here, we went out on a mission. I can't remember where we went. I think we went up Sowlea's way. Came back a couple of days later, and there was a tent pitch there. And there was a load of wood chopped in this room. As I say, this never used to be 2 separate rooms. There was one big room, and then there was a separate room. And we always normally go in this separate room. There was a load, and I looked in this room, and there was a load of wood chopped in that room. I thought, "Who's chopped all this wood?" There was a big heap of it. So I thought, someone must be using it, but there's no gear up here. There's a tent down there. I couldn't see anyone. So anyway, I get all my gear off my back and kind of settle down in there. And this guy comes up and walks out, and I think his name was Paul. He was a lovely guy. And he goes, who's chopped all this wood? And he comes out with more wood he's cut from somewhere, I don't know, and starts chopping it in there. And I goes, who are you chopping this wood for? He says, oh, I help out in the bothy, so I don't mind, you know. And he brought new saws up and everything. So we sat around, we got the fire going. The dogs were all settled in the corner on one of the benches. And we got the fire going in the evening. We had a great chat. No whiskey this time. I can't remember if we had a couple of beers. But anyway, we had a good chat around the fire. Really nice guy. And he was going to H Hill, which is just around the corner, not far out. And he was dropping a saw and axe off there. And he's not a member of the MBA or anything like that. He just helps out. I thought, what a lovely guy. And he chopped so much wood for the bothy. A massive heap of it. So you do meet some really nice people. So, as I say, it'd be nice to have some good company. That's what I'm getting round to. It's only took me about 12 minutes. Yeah, it'd be nice to meet someone nice like that and share a conversation. And like last night, I got the fire going. It was only for about 50 minutes. You don't need a fire in this weather, but it's just nice. Look at that idiot. She's back to normal, covered herself in ticks. So sometimes it can be very pleasant to have good company, rather than these monsters. So I'll give you a rundown of my times here. It's just good, isn't it? Good memories. Right, I better stop and do some work.